with me or not, but this is a major point in the world of Musar to understand. You cannot understand this point that he just made. You cannot be an arel chiyit. It's without these few lines. Right? That's basically the way it is. Okay. I guess we'll stop there. Have yourself a good night, Dave. All right. Where is that? I think parrots. I think this is the smallest crowd Daf had since I don't think even.
I don't know what happened yesterday's Daf, but you know what I mean. Maybe that scared everybody off, or maybe
no. I think a lot. No, there's a lot of chasanas.
There's also a big fair at Cedarhurst Park.
Oh yeah, I don't think our guys are going to a fair in Cedarhurst Park. Okay, whatever it is.
I don't know. I was there. My kids liked it.
Yeah. Okay. So now we left off. Where we leave off? Oh yeah. So we're about halfway up the daf. So we're talking about an arel, right? The whole sugya is about arel. So we're talking about an arel who, an arel who can the arel be the one to sprinkle the chatas on somebody who's tameh. Right? We got to finish saying before that you can. That he can be the arel can have the blood, the blood, whatever the Ephra para sprinkled on him. Can he be the one sprinkling? Right. So that's the Gemara Shaila here, and the Gemara said that it's allowed. Right, and we learned it out from tevul yom. Right. So meisvei, that's what we're up to. You see it meisvei. It's around, I would say 20 lines up. Yeah, a little under Taisus Hasam B'Shum Demos. So Meisvei, so they asked the Kasha, right, on that a tevul that a arel is allowed to sprinkle the mechatz. So tumtum shekidish, if you have a tumtum who was the reason why it's confusing is because shekidish on Amud Aleph was that he got married. Right here, it's not that he got married. He was makadish. You have to be makadish the water. The way you do it is you take the ashes of the paraduma and you mix it in with the water, with the from the shiloach, right? I think that's they got it from, right? So then you mix it in together and that makes it kaddish, and then you sprinkle it. So tumtum, let's say a tumtum did it, kiddushay pasul, then it's not considered kaddish. Mipnei shu safek arel, because it's a suffix arel. He's a suffix arel. We don't know if he's a male. And if he is a male, he certainly doesn't have a bris. Arel pasul kaddish, and an arel is pasul to put the ashes into the mechatas. Androgynous shekidish kedusha kosher, but an androgynous who mixes the ashes into the water is kosher. Right, Rabbi Yehuda, that's the first sheet. Rabbi Yehuda, af androgynous shekidish kedusha psulim. Even if an androgynous puts the ashes into the water, it's possible. Mesha suffik isha, because he's a suffik isha. The isha psulim and lekadish, and woman is not allowed to mix the efer chatas. So katani mia arel for suffik arel pasul lekadish. You see that an arel and a suffik arel is pasul from lekadish, and so what? But we're talking about actual sprinkling. So it must be that if the assumption is that if they're not allowed to add the ashes to the water, they're also not allowed to sprinkle it onto the person who's tameh. So Rav Yosef, hi Tana, who is this Tana? Tana Devei Rabbi Kiva. Who? They were the ones that learned from the Besmerish Rabbi Kiva. The Marbi Leila Arel Ketame, who learns out like an Arel is like somebody who's tameh. The Tanya Rabbi Kiva, Aimer ish labisa arel. So it's coming to include an arel. So therefore, you would not allow. That's who that price is going like. That doesn't allow the tumtum and the tumtum to sprinkle the water, and therefore means an arel can't also. But otherwise, we would disagree with that. We were sitting in front of Rabbi Yosef. I was sitting in front of Yosef, Kashali, and I had a kasha. the Tana should not have. Why didn't the Tana there say arel tamei? Right? Doesn't say it. Why didn't it say it? The lema Rabbi Kiva, and then you'd say, oh, this must be Rabbi Kiva because he's equating the arel with the tamei. Right? So Gemara says, "V'loi v'katani ha'arel v'tamei p'turim min ariyah." The arel and the tamei are potter from Riyah. Remember Riyah from Chagiga, that's when you have to go into the Beis Hamikdash. So you see that the Tana does put arel and tamei together. So that's not Hasam Mishum Demas. There, an arel is potter because it's disgusting for an arel to come. What is mitzvah Riyah? Mitzvah Riyah is to go into the Beis Hamikdash on Yom Tov and to be seen by Hashem. If you're coming into Hashem's house, right, without a bris, right, then that's disgusting to Hashem. So that's why we wouldn't want him, right? Meaning even everybody would agree to that. Fine. And this Machlokes between Rabbi Yehuda and the Tanakama, whether an androgynous can do the chatas is a similar Machlokes. Based on another Machlokes, the Tanya Hakol Ksherim L'Kadosh, everybody's kosher to do them, to be mekadosh to make chatas, to add the ashes to the water, chutz micheres shaita v'katan, right? Except for those three. Yehuda machsher v'katan upaisel b'isha andregas. So Yehuda says a katan is kosher, but an isha and andregan is a puzzle. My time with the Rabbanon. How can the Rabbanon say that that's kosher? Meaning an isha and andregan are allowed to do it, right? So Lakhu is plural, and they take for the tameh, for the person who's tameh, me'efer sreifas hachatas, from the ashes of the burnt paraduma. So hanach the paziv asipa psulim b'kiddush. Those that are puzzle to gather, right, to gather the ashes and the water are also puzzle from mixing them together. Hanach the ksherim basipa, and the ones that are kosher are kosher b'kiddush, are kosher to be mekadosh. So he said that's what the Tanakama says. So Mela, since they are mutter to be mekadosh, they're mutter to mix it too. Rabbi Yehuda Amalach imkein name akra v'lokach, and he should take it. Right? My v'lokchu, and what's the they? The afilu hanach the psulin hasam ksherim hacha, that even those that are apostle over there are kosher here. Right? So therefore it's, and he's going to be machsher. Tosfos says it, that he's going to be machsher a cotton, because eventually a cotton is going to become a man, right? So if that's the case, so ihachi, so if that isha nami, so an isha should also be mutter. Meaning, if you're saying they comes to include somebody, so it should also include a woman. So it says no v'nosan. It says and he should put it on. V'loi v'nosna. It doesn't say she should put it on. Right, so therefore, it's obviously saying that a woman shouldn't do it. Yeah, but okay, there's a kasha on that because we always use a lashon zocher for things when it may include a woman and a male and a female. We always include zocher. We always use a lashon zocher. Fine. But Rabbanon, what are Rabbanon going to do with this? If it would have said and he takes it and he puts it, if it would have said it that way, then what would I have said? That one person takes the ashes and then one person takes the water, right? Meaning you could only have one person do both. So therefore it says that you could have two people doing it. Because and if the pasuk would have said both plural, you would have said that two people take the ashes and two people put into the water. All right? I mean, you need two people, not that two people are kosher, that you need two people. So that's why it says first plural v'lakhu, then it says v'nasan dafilu shakli trei v'yavachad, that even if two people take the ashes and one puts the ashes into the water, and on Tamid Aleph, now we start today's daf. He's right top of Ayin Gimel Aleph. He's a hatar ala tamei. I'm sorry, that's it. I read a run on even two take it and one puts in the ashes to the water. Fine. Then the Gemara says he's a hatar ala tamei. Right? The tar person sprinkles it on the on the tamei person. Tar mechlal shu tamei. When it says that he's tahar, the tahar person puts it. Why are you saying that he's tar? Must be that he's tahar now, but he's tamei in other places, right? Which is what limed al tevul yaim shekasher b'para. That teaches us that he's the tevul yaim is kosher for the put the para. Meaning, what's a tevul yaim? And we dafka use a tevul yaim, right? We had that in Psachim. We specifically use a guy that's a tevul yaim is a guy that's tameh, and he's tevul. He was tevul in the mikvah, and he needs to wait for nightfall in order for him to become tar, right? So a person who on that day already tevul and waits and needs to wait for nightfall. So we're saying for the mixing and the sprinkling of the ephah para, that for that he's considered tar. For everything else, he's considered tamei. Not everything else, but for other things, he's considered tamei till nightfall, right? So therefore, it's he's mutter to do it. And adarabah, we dafka use a tevul yaim because the apikarsim, right, said that it dafka should not be somebody who's tamei, and we say because it says he's a hatahar al hatamei, right? And we don't learn it like that, so that's why they dafka use the guy that's partially tamei. Yeah. Okay, so that's that. Now on to another shiloh. So bo minim rav sheshes. Arel ma'u b'maaser. What is the din? Is an arel allowed to eat maaser? Now maaser doesn't mean maaser tzedakah, obviously. It means maaser sheni. That's a maaser sheni is that you have to take the first, second, fourth, and fifth years. Right? Is that right? First, second. Yeah. Have to take your fruits up to Yerushalayim and eat them in Yerushalayim. So there's kedusha to it. Can an arel eat these fruits? So what's the shiloh? So I want to ask here, the Allah Pesach maaser le'ininaninus. How do we learn that? We said an onen, right, cannot eat the korban Pesach. How do we know that an onen can't eat? Or an onen is somebody who's before burial, before a close relative died. So how do we know that an onen can't eat korban Pesach? And we learn it out from maaser. So Yolif Nami Maaser mi Pesach linear arel. So then should we turn it around and learn out maaser from Pesach by an arel? Meaning it's a two-way street. If you're learning out Pesach from maaser, what are you learning out from maaser? That an onen can't eat maaser, so therefore an onen can't eat the korban Pesach. So let's turn it around and learn out maaser from Pesach. That just like an arel who doesn't have a bris cannot eat the korban Pesach, he also can't eat maaser. That's one way of looking at it. Idoma, or perhaps it's the other way. Chomer mikal yolif. We learn out something chomer from kal, meaning Pesach is chomer, right? It's chiyuv kares if you don't eat it, amongst the other chumras. And maaser sheni is not that strict. So if maaser sheni an onen can't eat, so then for sure korban Pesach he can't eat. But we're not going to turn the tables, right? What else am I saying? Idil mechomer mikal yolif, kal mechomer lo yolif. It's something lenient, like maaser sheni. You can't learn out from Pesach, right? So maybe those are the tzadim. Which the question is obvious. So why would you be able to learn out a kal from chomer? Right? I'm saying normally we say yes. If there's a din by a halacha that's lenient, so then we for sure by a halacha that's chomer. Great, that's what we have to do, right? But the Gemara seems to be thinking maybe we can learn out a kal from a chomer. That can't be. So the Tosfos says that maybe there's a gzeirah shava there that we can learn it out from each other. Not so necessarily a kal v'chomer. Maybe it's a gzeirah shava. That's the second Tosfos down. Either way, so that's the shiloh. Bottom line, the shiloh is an arel allowed to eat maaser sheni? So he said to them, to Nisu, we learned it. Truma and bikurim. Bikurim are the first fruits, right? The first fruits of every year, they had to be brought to Yerushalayim, and eaten there. Right? So truma bikurim, chayav aleim misa. If somebody eats them when they're tamei, so truma, if he eats a kohen eats it when he's tamei, he's going to be chayav misa, right? And bikurim also. If you eat bikurim, it goes to the kohen too. So bikurim would be the same thing, right? And if somebody eats it by mistake, then he has to pay a fifth extra. Fasurim lezarim, obviously a zar is not allowed to eat it, right? Which is the same. The question is, why does that need to be added? That's not telling us anything. We just said the kohen has to eat it, all right? Fasurim lezarim, they belong to the kohen, right? Meaning, what does it mean? But he belongs to the kohen, so he could be makadosh and isha. Rashi says he could buy avodim with it and property and all those type of things. And if it drops into regular food, it's going to be batal 1 in 100. Meaning, normally we say batal b'shishin, but this is batal 1 in 100. And it requires washing the hands before you eat it, because stam yadayim are considered tameh, beher of shemesh, and somebody's tameh and he wants to eat it, he cannot eat it until he tevels during the day, like we were saying before, and then he eats it at night. Arel truma bikurim. These all apply to truma bikurim. Masha'en came by maaser, but maaser does not have all these rules. Now, this was something missing from here. What happened to arel? How come it doesn't mention arel? Vim isa, so that's what it says. Vim isa nisni arel aser behen. Why don't we say that an arel is aser to eat truma bikurim? Masha'en came by maaser, but maaser and arel is allowed to eat it. Meaning, if you're saying you're correct, we don't know. The Gemara is asking the question, but if maaser cannot be eaten by an arel, shouldn't that be listed here? Because maaser cannot be eaten with somebody who truma and bikurim cannot be eaten by somebody who doesn't have a bris, and if maaser could, so shouldn't be added to the list. So elamai, it's not on the list. It has to be that he can't eat maaser. And maaser in this aspect, maaser is the same as truma and bikurim, and somebody who doesn't have a bris is not allowed to eat it. So
what about a nusa?
What about what?
Or an onen?
What about an onen? An onen
a kohen that's an onen. A kohen that's an onen can eat maaser.
A kohen that's an onen can he eat maaser?
Or terumah or bikurim.
Well, terumah, we said a kohen can eat. An onen, a kohen onen can eat terumah. I think we said maaser he cannot. Right? Either we had it or we're gonna have it. It's so mixed up in my head where everything is. I don't know. But certainly truma he could, that I remember. Yeah. So let's see. So Gemara answers. So that's a raya.
The question is, you asked the question, why doesn't it mention an arel? Right.
Right. So, that's a Gemara's question. That's
so
Gemara's
I'm also saying. So why doesn't it also ask about an onen? You're saying it leaves out arel. It's also leaving out an onen. We learned about an arel from Aninos, didn't we, previously when it came to the carbon pesach?
Yeah. So that's what you said. Gemara is going to answer that. That is what the Gemara is. I think that's one of the things. Right. That's one of the things that it's going to answer. Right. Let's see. So the point is that the Gemara is saying it left it out. So if it left it out, it must be they're all the same by oral. Right. So going to answer ton of a shire. No, it left things out. It wasn't necessarily listing everything. It was listing most things, but it's going to leave things out. So anytime the Gemara says that the Tana left things out, it has to have left out more than one thing. I don't know where that rule comes from exactly, but it has to leave out something else too. So the Gemara is going to ask, my shire to high shire, what is it leaving out that you could say that it left out arel also? Meaning a mishna is just not going to leave out one item. If it leaves out more than one item, then we understand, okay, the Mishnah was just giving us a list, an informal list. So my shire the high shire the katani seifa, it's what it left out was what it said in the seifa. Yesh maaser bikurim, there's things that are in by maaser and by bikurim mashen came betruma, that there aren't in terumah. Why? Meaning each one has its kulas and its chumras. The first part of the Mishnah there was saying what the terumah and bikurim have that maaser doesn't have. The second part was saying what maaser has and bikurim does not have. Right? I'm saying what maaser and bikurim have that terumah does not have. Maaser and bikurim need to be brought to Yerushalayim. Right? Makam meaning the place, meaning Yerushalayim. And you also need to do vidui. Right? That's where that's where the parsha by the Haggadah comes from the psukim of bikurim. Right? So there's a whole video to say over it, which you don't have to do by truma for asur la'onen. Right? And they're also asur to an onen, which truma is not. But Reb Shimon matter, but Reb Shimon says onen is allowed to eat bikurim, which we're going to see why he says that. The chayav be'bir, and they're chayav and bir, meaning maaser, sheni, and bikurim have an end game, right? Meaning by the end of the fourth year you have to have finished with eating them. But Shimon Shimon says it's potter, meaning he says you don't have to. Right? A kohen that got bikurim does not have to stop. Right? The evil isser levar mehen, and there's no isser to be mevar them when you are tamei. Right? Meaning, I'm sorry, not when you're tamei, when the terumah is tamei. If the kohen gets terumah, that's tamei. What does he do with it? So he's allowed to burn it, use it as firewood, use it as oil, etc., etc. But maaser and bikurim, you're not allowed to do. Right? Then what else? Ba'oichlen on tamei beis now. Ba'oichlen betumas atzman loika, and if you eat it with tumas atzman, meaning when somebody who's tar eats maaser that's tamei, then he gets malchus. Mashen came, but truma does not have that. Okay, so like
meaning they're tameh. The people are tameh, not the food.
No. The people are tamei is a much bigger is. This is talking about when the thing itself is tamei.
So it says it's going on the bikurim and the maaser.
Yeah, maaser and bikurim.
Not on the person.
Not on the person. Yeah. Yeah. Well, we're going to see. The Gemara is going to discuss it. The Gemara is going to discuss this, but yeah, that's what it's saying. The Rashi says, "Guf tar v'heim tamei." The body is tar and they're tamei, and that tamei, the food is tamei. There you get malchus. Mashen came betruma by truma. A truma that's a tamei kohen is not allowed to eat truma. We said he's chayav misa, right? But we're going to see on the bottom of the Amud, there's no isser, there's no lav. He will not get malchus if a kohen eats tamei truma. He's only if he's tamei, then he's chayav misa. So mashen came truma like katani. So it doesn't say all these things, right? So alma tana v'shayir. So therefore, we see that the Mishnah was leaving out some items. So since it was leaving out some items on the differences between truma and maaser, so it also left out onen. So therefore, we have no proof either way around. Either way, if an arel is allowed to eat truma and maaser. Right? No, truma, we said onen is allowed. An arel is not allowed to eat truma, just maaser. What do you think, Gershon?
I don't know what type face is by you. I find it fascinating. We were learning the Torah of Reb Shimon on his day.
Right, that's true. That you pointed that out. Correct. Yeah, it's a little bit after, but yeah, covers it. It covers it. Anyways, so the Gemara continues says Basurun la'onen, and maaser sheni bikurim we said is also for an onen for Reb Shimon matter, but Reb Shimon says, right? Reb Shimon is Reb Shimon Bar Yochai. That's what Gershon is referring to, right? But Reb Shimon matter. And Reb Shimon says it's mutter for an onen to eat bikurim. Minalahu, how does he know? How does Reb Shimon know that an onen is allowed to eat bikurim? Tichsiv You're not allowed to eat in your, literally in your gates, right? Which means in the cities. You have to, right? You have to bring it up to Yerushalayim. And the truma of your hand, right? What is trumas yadcha? Trumas yadcha elu bikurim. Trumas yadcha is referring to bikurim. And we make a comparison between bikurim to maaser. Maaser also onen, just like we said, maaser is also for onen. Af bikurim also onen. So bikurim is also to an onen. Right. So that's where he gets. That's what his source is. So he's making a hekesh from truma to from bikurim to maaser. Okay. So then the Gemara says, but Shimon truma karinu rachmana. Right, that's where the Tanakama learns it. But if Shimon truma karinu rachmana, the Torah calls it truma. Ma truma mutaras la'inin, just like truma is mutar to an einin. Af bikurim mutar la'inin, so therefore bikurim is also mutar to an einin. Right, so they mamish have opposite ways of darshaning the pasuk. Right, then the Gemara says chayavim bebir, maaser sheni and bikurim need to be burnt. Right, they have an enta. Like just like in Shemitah, your food has to be consumed by a certain date. So these two, mar makish, umar loy makish, right? One is the Tanakama makes the comparison between bikurim to maaser, and mar and Reb Shimon does not make the hekesh from bikurim to maaser, right? And he makes bikurim or as truma, and therefore it doesn't need beer, right? So that's basically the explanation is between the Machlokes of Reb Shimon and the Tanakama. Is whether how we darshan out this pasuk, do we darshan it, do we compare it or not? Fine. Then the next thing that they said was also levar mehen betuma, and you're not allowed to burn the maaser and bikurim, maaser sheni bikurim when it's tameh, right? Va'oichlin betuma atzman like, and somebody who eats them when they're tameh gets malchus, not when the person's tameh. When the fruits or the vegetables, whatever it is, are tamei, that's you're going to get malchus. Minalan, how do we know this? The Tanya Shimon Omer, loy bi'arti mimenu b'tamei. When a person he has to say over these psukim, right before he eats the bikurim and the maaser sheni, he says, I didn't burn it when I was tamei. Bein shani tamei v'hu tar. So that means whether I'm tamei, meaning the human, the owner, and the food is tar. Bein shani tar v'hu tamei, or whether I'm tar and he's tamei, right? V'heichim muzer ala chilasei, and but where are you muzer on eating it? Right. So till now the pasuk is talking about burning it when it's tamei, but what about just being careful not to eat it when it's tamei? Any day says that I don't know. I don't know what the pshat in that is. So the Gemara first before it goes to answering that, the Gemara says tumas aguf behedzik. So what do you mean? That when the person is tamei, that he's not allowed to eat maaser sheni when he's tamei, that's behedzik, right? This is talking about the standard. The person's tamei, he's not allowed to eat it. That says in the Beferish pasuk, the person who touches it for tamei, and his tamei until the evening, but he's not allowed to eat kachim until he washes in the mikvah. So you see that he's not allowed to eat any sort of kachim, right? But okay, so what's kachim? So Rashi says that we learned that out in the next plot that it's talking about maaser. Either way, so that it says beferish. So Gemara says hachi kami ba'ilei tumas atzma minayin. How do you know that when the fruit is tamei? How do you know? So tamei loymar. So it says in the pasuk like sucha alecha b'sharecha maaser digancha. It says in the pasuk that you're not allowed to eat in your cities maaser digancha. Right? You're not allowed to eat maaser. You got to bring it up to Yerushalayim. Well, alanu omen, and the pasuk later it says b'sharecha tachlenu atamei v'atar yachtav katzvi v'kayol. In your cities, you're allowed to eat it. The tzvi and the ayil together, the deer and the goat, the ram, goat, the ayil, whatever, one of those type. Yeah. So what is that referring to? That's referring to kachim that became puzzle. So what do you do with kachim that became puzzle? It gets the mum. So what do? What you do is you transfer. You do a pigeon. You take the animal that became a balmum and you transfer it onto another animal, right? and then that the malmum becomes mutter for everybody to eat. So we're saying, so you eat it together, the tamei and the tar yachtov like the tzvi and ayol. Right? What does this mean? V'tana tvei Rabbi Shmuel afilu tamei v'tar oichlan al shulchan echad b'kaira achas. Even a tamei and a tar are even allowed to eat on one table and one plate. Ve'enan chashashin, and there's no chashash. Right? Now, what's the chashash? That the person that's tamei is going to make the food tamei, right? And then the tar guy is going to eat from the food. So what's the pshat? So that means it must be, we don't care if somebody who's tar eats maaser, that's tamei, right? And what we're saying that that it says over there that you should eat it in your cities, right? Here by maaser sheni you're not allowed to eat it, right? So that's how we know that by maaser sheni you're not allowed to eat it if it's tamei, but regular kodshim that you are allowed to eat if it's tamei, right? That's how you know you get malchus. Fine. Mashain came terumah, but it says, but by terumah, right? So that's a different thing of that we said by terumah, you're allowed to the kohen's allowed to benefit from it while he's burning it. So we know on how do you know? So he says, I didn't burn any of it when tumah. Right? It's only from that I wasn't maver. Meaning only the maaser sheni you can't burn when it's tamei, but you can burn shemen of terumah that became tamei. Right? So you want to ask, maybe I can't burn it, but I can burn the shemen of kodesh that became tamei, right? Meaning not terumah, kodshim. So the Gemara says, "Lav kavachomeru isn't it a kavachomeru? Ma maaser hakal, maaser which is lenient. That you're not allowed to burn it when it's tamei, meaning you have to burn it, but you can't benefit from it. So kodesh chomer kodshim, that's more chomer, like kol shekain. Isn't it a kol shekain that you shouldn't be able to benefit from it while you burn it? So Gemara says, truma nami kavachomeru. So truma is also kavachomer because that's more chomer. So you shouldn't be able to burn that. So he says, haksim mimenu. Now there it says mimenu. You're allowed to how does it go that you're going to say that the word mimenu is from it. Yeah, that truma, only it you can't benefit from, but truma you can. Okay, but maybe it comes to exclude truma. Umari Isa, who says which way you should dash? And again, we had this many times in the last few blocks. You have a pasuk. It says, okay, we're going to include this and exclude that. So here we're saying, okay, the pasuk's telling you kodshim, you're not allowed to benefit from, but truma you are allowed to benefit from. And because the pasuk's mashma that it's excluding something. So who says which one you should be? We're saying here, it's saying truma yes, kodshim no. Maybe it should be the opposite. So mistavra kodesh leimim matina. We don't exclude kodesh. Shekain panekas or pancakes, right? That's the way Sontag, Daniel Sontag said it's pancakes, meaning those are all the chumras. Pigul, right? So pigul is that you're not allowed to have, if you have any thoughts in your head that you're going to make the carbon puzzle, so that it makes it puzzle. Noisar, you can't leave it over, right? This is by kodshim, carbon. It's a carbon, right? Meaning you bring it to Beis Hamikdash. Me'ila, you're around Me'ila, if you benefit from it, that's like using Hashem's things. Karis, Techib Karis, we eat it. For us, and it's also doing onen. So there's a whole lot of isurim this. The Gemara says, Adarab, Truma Matina, maybe you shouldn't exclude Truma, Shekain Machbaz. That has Machbaz. What's Machbaz? Misa, Choimish. You have to pay back a fifth, and the pigeon. There's no pigeon, Vasur Lazarim. And it's also the strangers. So it also has a whole list of things. So he said, Hanok Nefishin. Well, pancakes or pancakes is more than machbaz, right? It's got 6 versus 4. So therefore, right, 6. That's I think too. Yeah. So therefore that we're going to include that. Anybody saying karas adifa, or you just say karas is better, right? So since kodesh is karas, so we're going to say that's the one that you're not allowed to benefit from when you're burning it. Fine. So then the Gemara says, just do a few more lines because I don't know why there's the 2 dots here. The 2 dots should really be on the second line up from the bottom. Okay. But I don't know if there should be 2 dots there either, but the stop is really there. But betumas atzman, like if somebody eats it when the item, the food itself is tamei, then you get malchus. Not by maaser. Masha came betruma, but by truma, you're not going to get malchus. If you eat, meaning by maaser sheni, if it's tamei and you eat it, you're going to get malchus. By truma, you're not. Milku the lucky, right? So it's only you don't get malchus, but it's still aser for truma. You're still not allowed to eat it. So how would you know by truma that you're not allowed to eat it either? You're just not going to get malchus. So Amakra, pasuk says, "B'sharecha techlanu." It says in your gates, in your cities, you should eat it. Lezeh, v'loy la'ach. This and not another type of truma. Meaning, don't eat this. Meaning, it says b'sharecha, you should eat it in your cities. Lezeh, v'loy la'ach. Right, but not truma. And what is that? But even though there's no lav here, say this is an inference that truma you shouldn't eat. Tamei truma you shouldn't eat, meaning eat kosher truma. Don't eat unkosher truma. But it's a lav haba say. It's a lav that comes that's inferred from telling us to do something, which is considered an asay. So therefore, truma, when it's tamei, you're not allowed to eat it. You're not allowed to eat it, but you're not going to get malchus. Maaser, that we have a pasuk that says not to eat it, you're going to get malchus. Truma, you're not going to get malchus. Okay, we will stop here. Yes, this is a lot of kodshim, a lot of psukim. Tomorrow's daf is going to be the same thing, and then have no fear. After that, we get into the Saris Gemara about get your anatomy books out for Shabbos' block. Tomorrow's is a little more technical like this, and then Shabbos you got to get study the anatomy over Shabbos.
Jacob, what time tomorrow?
What time is what time is the early? 6 to I think 5:30, no? 5:30?
Okay.
Yeah, 5:30. What's the Shabbos 10? We can't do later than 10, so whatever. Anyways, wow, I could actually go
what time
to
tomorrow?
9:30 minor. 5:30.
What time tomorrow?
5:30. All right.
Am I checking anything for you tomorrow?
Who? No.
Thank you.
Am I checking anything?
No.
Okay, I'm off. Okay.
Thank you. All right. Have a good night, everybody.